Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem podcast. We have a special guest for this episode number 11, Nichole Christine from the Spiritual Sisters podcast. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I was like getting chills, like, ooh, this is going to be good.
It is going to be good. We are going to be doing a walkthrough for your love and compatibility chart for you and your hubby.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm really excited to dig into that.
I actually love that I'm episode 11 because 11 times 2 is 22, and 22 is like a pretty significant number for us.
For both of you, yeah,
Uh-huh.
because you're 622 and he's 1222
Yeah, we got married in the year 2022, and we got married on the 22nd of April.
of April. Oh, I
hmm
was about to be like 1222 because
No.
that would be his birthday. Oh
Yeah,
man.
so we got married right then and there. And then I have been told 1111 is like a sign from my spirit baby. So I kind of
hmm
love that I'm number 11.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
From your spirit baby,
That when I see 1111, that's the spirit baby
it
coming through.
talking to you.
hmm
Oh, we love when spirit babies communicate.
Yeah.
And that makes sense because it's like kind of half of both of your
Oh my gosh, I've never
numbers.
even thought about that.
It's really
Yeah,
cute.
really.
So for your love and compatibility chart, I didn't see the number 22 popping up. You had a lot of 8s and 18s popping up, but it's much shorter than the soul contract that I'm pretty sure I did for both of you. I think I did a
Yes.
soul contract for your husband as well,
hmm
and it is I resonated with so much of it from me and my husband's soul
Oh.
contract. I think I remember doing an episode and I'm like, not everybody's going to get the ideal alliance like in their love and compatibility, but you guys did.
Oh,
You
yay.
guys
I
are
love
like the
that.
ideal, like perfect match. So I was very excited about it because a lot of the things in your compatibility chart is similar to the things in me and my husband's. So it was almost like I kind of already knew you guys. It was
Mm.
really cute. You guys, I don't know if you do business together, but you guys are like would be the perfect power couple. And if you did have a family business or if you worked together, you guys would be really good at it. Some couples can't do that. Some people they cannot work together. It's a recipe for disaster, but you guys would be really good at it.
My husband used to always say when we first started dating that he just, that he imagined us like being a power couple one day just because we're both pretty ambitious and we're always trying to do more and, be better. And he's always like, yeah, like, power couple status. When he said that, that's hilarious because that was always his thing. We don't do
Yeah.
business together, but he's kind of talked about it because we're both in the same profession. We're both therapists. I used to work primarily with adults, and he's always worked with the littles.
hmm
And so his thing was always we could open up a practice where, I'm working with the kids and you're working with the parents because he really doesn't like working with the adults. He'd rather work with them when they're little, when they're more, I guess, open to change. And, he kind of feels that the adults are sometimes a little more stubborn. So his
hmm
idea was always we could kind of tag team the family as a whole. And I kind of decided, well, I don't really want to do private practice anymore. So he'll sometimes bring it up. I'm like, that's great. You do that. And good luck with that.
Oh my gosh, that would be such a great idea. I feel like you guys would have so much clients.
Yeah, especially we would because we see a lot of like the children that he sees. Sometimes like their parents are also maybe like in need of services.
hmm
And so even with the kids that I work with now, I used to work with some of their parents and my old position. So yeah, it's definitely very cyclical I've been seeing.
Yeah, I heard something about that. I heard a therapist talk about how Usually, the parents that bring in children into therapy are the ones that need therapy themselves, and the child is like the scapegoat,
Totally.
the family scapegoat.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like a great business idea, but
I'm like, "Eh."
if you're not into private practice anymore, I guess
Yeah.
that's off the table. But
Yeah.
yeah, you guys would absolutely rock it. You would absolutely kill like doing a family business together. I saw that both of you were very, very ambitious. You are both very strong in leadership, and you guys have very, very strong personalities. Not in the sense that one of you likes to like bulldoze the other, like not in an aggressive sense, but in a very competitive, like you can get stuff done. You can get
Mhm.
stuff done. So very, very ambitious. So much potential for success for both of you. And that was all over your chart. Your chart essentially just said that you guys need to work together because when your energy is combined, like you get the magnetism from both of you is so much more potent. So if you were to be in a business together, I feel like you just have like clients flocking to you. But if it's not meant to be, if it's not meant to be for you guys to work in the same business, I feel like you guys bounce. I see a lot of you bouncing ideas off of each other. I see him like assisting you, like giving you ideas for your business, and you doing the same for his.
Mhm.
Because you guys are both like boss babes.
He's very strategic. He has a lot of good ideas, and I do too. I'm somebody who I get a lot of ideas, but like my sister says all the time, the ideas aren't necessarily for me. So I will have ideas left and right, but I mean, I've thrown ideas at you. Like, "Anna, this
You
would be
have.
cool if you did this." And I'm always just like sharing things with people. So I could see that where, it's not something maybe I want to do or I'm interested in, but I have an idea of what could work
Yeah, you're
as an
picking up on the
outsider.
potentials.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it's very like very wise, very strategic, very business savvy, I'd say the both of you guys.
I would say him for sure. I think I'm in the space where I'm trying to learn to get there, but he's always like researching and acquiring knowledge. So I would say for him, he's definitely a lot more strategic. So I could see that. I could see that on his part.
For sure. And for some of these soul contracts, for the love and compatibility ones, I found that certain messages are just for one of the couples, just for one side and not the other. So if you see anything in your love and compatibility reading that's like, oh, that's definitely my husband, or oh, that's definitely me, and it says that it's for both, just apply it to whatever person you feel that it applies to. So let's see what I really want to highlight for your love and compatibility, aside from the fact that you guys are both very business savvy, very ambitious, and have strong leadership skills. It gives you a little bit of a warning in order to not kind of take on the role of being and having more responsibility than the other. You guys function best when you have equal amounts of responsibility, when you don't have one person that's kind of like one upping the other in terms of like, oh, I'm getting this and this done and like so much more done than you are. So you guys flourish when there is no competition against each other, and when you guys are both trying to help each other in your prospective businesses, and not like making the other person feel like they're not doing enough, like they're inferior, like they're not bringing enough business in.
Mm, I would say I'm definitely in relationships like the queen of the one-uppers. Like, well, I'm doing more. I do this and I do that. And I notice with him, I'm not as much that way because he doesn't like take the bait. He won't, he won't buy into it. He's just like, "Yeah, you are doing a lot," or whatever. Like, he won't try to argue and, "Well, but I'm doing this." So I don't do that as much here because I just kinda noticed, well, it doesn't serve a purpose in the way it maybe had in past relationships,
I wonder if
but
that's the therapist side in him, where he's like, he knows better than to poke that.
maybe, maybe.
Yeah, because I feel like there's like emotional intelligence involved there. They're like, yeah, I'll give
Mhm,
you credit. I'll let you know that yeah, you're definitely taking on all of this. So
mhm, yeah. He'll just be like,
very
"Yeah,
mature
you're
on
right."
his part. So there was some stuff about operating in the negative that
Mhm,
entailed a little bit of attachment, where one person doesn't feel worthy of the other in some shape or form and they start to kind of cling on to them more. I read in your chart that you guys really like to be in each other's presence, in each other's energy. If you guys are doing something like separately, you'll still want to be next to each other, even if you're not entirely doing the same thing, like or watching the same show. You'll want to be around each other. And your chart mentioned how important it is to not use that relationship as a crutch. Like there was this energy about it that like it kind of hinders you career wise. You might put things off that you know that you're supposed to be doing for your business or for your personal goals. You might notice that like you're like, oh, but I'd rather like sit down and watch this movie that we've been dying to see or binge the newest episode of something or other. And it's asking that you make sure that you're making time, the time that you need in order to still check off all of the things that you need to be doing in your business, in your personal life, and for your mental health. Like, if, and I do this all the time. This is why I'm like speaking so much on this because I do this absolutely all the time. And it's in my love and compatibility reading as well, where like I'll stay in and I won't go to the gym because I didn't have a chance to see my husband in the morning. He had to go early. So I'll be like, "Oh, I'll do the gym later." Or like I'll stay and have a cup of coffee with him and catch up on something instead of doing what is necessary for my mental health and not go to the gym and go to the gym, sorry.
yeah, I would say that feels more like him. It's like what you were saying earlier, there's some things that might speak more to one than the other. My husband was raised by, like, a family of penguins. Everybody in his family mates for life. So he sees, his, like, parents, they're just always together. His parents have been together. His mom just turned 60 and they've been together since she was 14. Like,
Oh my
they're
gosh.
they're lifers. And I'm somebody who is very independent and I love my alone time. So sometimes, my husband's like, "Oh, well, what are we gonna do?" And sometimes I just wanna be alone so I can see him. Like, he'll still do the things that he needs to do. He's still gonna go to the gym, he's still gonna do those things, but he's more of like, "Oh, I just wanna, be with you." And that's been something that I've had to work on, that, okay, I need to be more available to my partner because I'm so independent and used to doing what I wanna do when I wanna do it.
Mhm.
I've had to learn to give in a little bit more. I wouldn't say necessarily to the detriment, like, because I still take on a lot, and sometimes I'm like, I've taken on too much to where I don't have the capacity to spend the time in partnership, like PTA. Give up PTA because that took up so much time. But I would say it's definitely him, I think, that loves just kind of being around, like,
Mhm.
he's such a family man, right? He's, like, really a man who wants to be like a husband and a father, like, he just wants to be that type of person. So, that's something that I've had to really adjust so that I can be more, like, available
So
to that.
I guess that part where it's like you need your space, you guys need to your space in order to evolve and like grow as human beings was for you.
Mm,
It's literally in there. And I saw you having to like either get a hotel room or like go to a Starbucks so that you could do your work there, like separate from him.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's really cute.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the one in your husband's shoes. Actually, me and my husband are pretty similar when we come to that. Like we love to be in each other's space. We love to be like, even if we're not doing the same thing, just be around each other.
Yeah,
Uh,
I've said a couple times, like, "I'm taking my computer and I need to go work outside of the house, and I'll see you later." Or, like, my dream is just to get a hotel room alone for a night, and he he doesn't understand it.
I literally saw you doing that, and
Yeah.
it told you to travel and get that space alone when you need it, when you need to accomplish something, because it's really difficult to work and get anything done when you're together.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. And so, like my relationship. um, so let's see. Vulnerabilities. This is like the biggest weakness of you guys as a couple. It is something that subconsciously probably pops up a lot for you guys. There's this insecurity and doubt in the relationship. This is where the unworthiness pops up, I think. And I just noticed I spelled worthy wrong. But there's a belief like I'm not worthy of him or her. Uh, he can leave me at any time, or she can leave me at any time. And there's this like underlying fear that can cripple the relationship, which is why setting your boundaries is so important. You don't want to lose the freedom in your relationship to be able to kind of not be the same person, not get enmeshed and become just one person. You need to be able to still do what it is that you need to do for yourself. And that worthiness and insecurity and doubt can sometimes get in the way of that. And I'm wondering if that is stemming from him, since he seems to be a little more attached. You have a more detached. No?
No. So, that's definitely a me thing. I always felt like he was, out of my league, or just, like he came from a better family, and he had a better situation, and always felt like I didn't maybe deserve somebody like, like he was, like I wasn't worthy of him. And that came up a lot in especially the beginning of the relationship. I would say the first maybe couple years we were dating and we were living together. And I would just in my mind, like I would always kind of push him away, and, okay, like this is it. We're done. And, in my mind, I'm like, okay, where me and my son gonna go? Okay, I gotta find another place. Like I was going through the motions in my head, and he's just like, no, we're not doing this. Like, I know what you're doing. And I know that you're trying to, kind of like push me away, but like I'm not leaving and we're not doing this. Like we're gonna figure it out.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so that was something that came up a lot. I really had to work on that, so I don't do that as much anymore.
You were like
Yeah.
the runner
I
in
was the runner.
relationships.
Yeah, and that's what he said, "You're always running." He's like, "I don't know what to do when, when we have an argument," which doesn't happen often, but I'm someone like, yeah, I have to run. And he's, he'll chase, but and at that moment I don't wanna be chased. It's like, "No, I need to run," but he's just like, "No, like, I'm gonna chase you because I know you're trying to, like, run away, and we're not doing this." So he would always kinda, like, put a stop to it whenever I would, you know, start
Oh
that.
my gosh. I relate to that so hard. I relate to that so much, because I have definitely been the runner. I have definitely tried to run away a lot of times, especially in this relationship. And tell me if this is the same for you. It's like the more they try to like get you to stay, the faster you're out of there. You're like,
Mm.
all right, like, do you make it like 10 times worse? Because like I have this tendency of like, okay, no, like I for sure, like I need this to be over. I need this to be done because I've decided that like I'm leaving now or whatever, and I end up making it so much worse. And he managed to find a way around that. He's like, I'm not going to do the chasing. Just let me know when you're done. He's like, because I don't know what to say to you. Let
Mhm.
me know when you're done. And then once I finally get out of that headspace, I'm able to kind of be like, okay, like this is not the answer.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I yeah, definitely probably have made it worse. And then but he's gotten to the point now where he knows, okay, she just needs her space and the more I push, it's just going to, she'll pull away a little bit more. So he'll kind of give me my space and let me come around, but he's said, like it's scary when you get mad and when you're in that space. He's like, "It's scary because I have no idea, like, what you're gonna do." Not like I'm gonna do anything crazy, but he doesn't know what I'm thinking, he doesn't know if I'm gonna pack my bags and leave for the day or whatever, and he's very much like a fixer, "We need to fix this," and I'm very much like I need time before I can get there.
Hmm.
So, we've had to learn to work around those dynamics of the person that needs it done in the moment and the person that needs a space.
Yeah. Yeah, no. I know exactly what you're talking about. Is that like an abandonment thing for us? Is that like we try to detach before we get
Yeah.
hurt anymore?
Uh-huh. Like, I'm gonna leave you before
Yeah.
you
Mm.
decide to leave me so it can hurt even less. Like, it's still gonna hurt, but it's gonna hurt less if I'm the one that made the decision.
Yeah, because you're in control of it.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, and then
Mm.
it's a control thing too.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but there was literally a part, that same section in vulnerabilities, that it says if you don't want to lose freedom in a relationship, then do the inner work, especially if you think that you and your partner come from different worlds. So I didn't know that that was going to be so important to what you just said, but you literally confirmed it. You were like, you thought that he had a better family than you thought that you guys were from different worlds.
Mhm.
That's pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah, so when we first met, I was engaged to somebody else. We were friends for years before we started dating. But anyways, I was engaged to somebody else, and then that relationship ended, and then I, like, became pregnant with my son. So and I remember when I met my husband thinking, like, "Where's this man been all my life? Like, I'm engaged to this other person now, but this guy, I really like him. I really like everything about him." And then once I had my son, I remember thinking, "Oh, now we're never gonna get together." And it wasn't until maybe 4 years after we met because we were always friends. It wasn't ever like, I think there was always that, like, attraction there, but it was just, we worked together and it wasn't a thing that was gonna happen. So when we started dating, it was an easy transition in the sense that, he had already like, I used to take my son to work, so he already knew my son. It wasn't a thing, sometimes we'd go out to dinner with my son. This was before we dated, like, it was just a very like, we were just really
Familiar. Mhm.
familiar, so then when we started dating, there wasn't that weird, "Oh, when do I introduce?" Because that had already happened. So I was, really scared to meet his family because, here's this woman and she's coming in with this child and he didn't have any kids. And, again, like his family's very traditional.
Mm.
They date, they get married, they have kids. And here he is doing things backwards where it's like, oh, I'm going to move in with this person and she has a kid. And then, we're going to get married one day. So I had a lot of insecurities around what I brought with me in the sense that, oh, and then I'm like a year and a half older, which they didn't know. They actually thought I was a lot younger than him.
Oh, wow.
So, that was funny when his mom found out how old I was recently. She said, "What?" It's like, "How old did you think I was when I became a parent?" But it was, yeah, there was a lot of that, like, "Oh, I bring so much baggage," and I remember I had to have people point out to me, like my best friend, like, "But look at what you bring to the table, you're educated and you're loving and you're all these things," and I couldn't see past the fact that, well, no, because I have a kid that I'm bringing with me to this man that doesn't have any kids, and
Mhm.
I that was something that I really, really, really had to work through,
Mhm.
and I don't think his family, like, really cared, like, they could care less. but it was
They
my
seem traditional
internal.
on the outside, but like they didn't really mind it.
Yeah, they don't, like, judge, they're just kinda like, "Eh, who cares?" But in my mind, it was, "Oh, well, not for our son, we don't want that for our son."
Right.
But, yeah, I don't think that was never a thing.
You kind of like predicted or like
Mhm.
projected that they would be a certain way.
Right.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Your compatibility reading said something about the first touch being when you guys realized that you were destined for each other. So I was a little worried. I'm like, I don't want her to say it first because I want to see if this rings true. But from the sounds of it, it wasn't like a love at first sight thing. Like you could see the compatibility there, but like was it when things got like when you guys started dating, when things got physical that you realized that the connection there was so much deeper?
Yeah, that's really interesting because, like I said, when I met him, I was kind of like, "Where's this man been all my life?" And, there was, like, nothing I could do about it. And then it was when we started dating, we kind of, like, knew from, I think, I don't know, maybe probably day 1 that, okay, this is it. So we've very quickly, and it was more on his end that he would kind of talk about, "Oh, and then, like, when we get married and when we this," but, like, I kinda knew it too, like, this is it. This is not gon there's not gonna be anybody else after him. Like, I'm not this isn't just gonna be a few months fling. This is gonna be it forever. Like, this is gonna be marriage, this is gonna be family, this is gonna be all of that. So, I would say so because he's also somebody who he didn't really date around a lot.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't somebody who, was with this girl and that girl, like, he really that wasn't his
Took it
thing.
seriously.
Yeah, like, he didn't bring, a bunch of people around. I think before me, his family had met one other partner of
Oh
his, and that
wow.
was in his 20s. Like, he wasn't doing that. That was what he was about. So once it, kind of became that, it was like, "Okay, yeah, like, this is it. We're we're not, like, going anywhere."
That is so crazy. That is so crazy. It sounds so much like my relationship. There's so many parallels
Mhm,
because coming into my relationship, I had 3 kids from my previous marriage, and he had a child.
mhm,
So I also had that thing where I'm like, I basically accepted even before I started seeing anybody post divorce. I'm like, I basically accepted that I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life because who's going to want
mhm,
somebody with 3 kids already?
mhm.
So I
Those are the
totally
lies we tell
resonate with that.
ourselves.
I totally resonate with that. And with expecting the parents to be a certain way, expecting the parents to be like, are you sure you want to do this? She has 3 children. Like, and that didn't happen at all. Yeah, very much the same. And my husband is also very much the same. He was previously married and he was in that marriage for, I think, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And he wasn't the type to like date lots of people either. And he's very much a penguin. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna start calling them penguins. I didn't know that that was a thing.
Yeah, they mate for life.
That's so funny.
Mhm. So when I told him that, he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're like, your family you come from a family of penguins. You guys just like, they find one partner, and then that's kind of it." I think there's maybe one person in the family that didn't stay with their person.
That is so crazy. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like we kind of touched on the positives of your relationship. So what I do for the love and compatibility charts as well, I put in signs that negative karma is playing out. So when 2 people get together, they if it's like a soulmate bond, if it's like part of your soul contract to meet, if it's very like karmically tied together, then you guys were meant to experience certain things and go through certain things. And for you and him specifically, you guys were meant to go through some difficulties and challenges together. You guys are essentially perfect for each other in order to have the support that you need in order to get through what it is that you need to get through in this life. That's why you guys were paired together. And when you don't fulfill that mission that you came together for, negative karma starts to kick in. And you have a few like signs of negative karma coming in for you. Some of those signs is if you guys start being very cold and distant, start acting distant to one another. You may stop talking about your feelings to each other and hiding the way that you're feeling about things and hiding away your worries and your anxieties. And you might not like very, I don't want to say publicize, but you might not talk about your relationship to other people a lot in the sense of like when things go wrong. So to an outsider's perspective, like they're only seeing the highlights of your relationship when you guys are having a good time, but you're one of those people that you don't like to talk badly about your husband, and that's a really good trait to have. So if you guys like did break up for like a few weeks or however long when you guys were dating, some people might have been totally thrown off by that. Where like they'd be like, I have no idea how that happened. They seemed so perfect. They seemed so happy together. So that's a really good trait. But if you don't fulfill the karma that you were meant to come here to clear together, that might start popping in and people might start to be like, I totally didn't know that they had problems.
It's really interesting. He's one of the first, well, when we were dating, he was the first partner I had that we didn't like break up, where you break up and you get back together. Like we never had moments
Like
of
an
that
official,
where mm-mm.
because he
I
didn't
mean,
chase you.
yeah, it was just, we just never did it. It was kind of like I knew, it
But
was
that
kind of
was
like
it.
I knew some of the things that had been in past relationships, like wouldn't be a thing here. And it almost kind of put me on check where I knew like, okay, Nicole, you can't act like a, 22-year-old. You need to act, like a woman and really handle things in a mature way. And because that's not going to fly here. So it really kind of forced me to have those conversations that were hard and like face my own internal kind of struggles because it just wasn't going to be a thing. So yeah, we never had that where, well, let's just not be together. No, was never a thing. As much as I tried, right?
He raised the bar for, like kind of raised the bar. What am I
Mhm.
trying to say? Um, you knew that he held a certain standard,
Yeah.
and you're like, I can't do this stuff with him.
Mhm. Yeah, because I've told him, "You didn't know, like, crazy me, the crazy things I did," and he's like, "Well, yeah, because I just, like, I wouldn't do that." And part of it too, that he like, part of the reason that he never saw that, I think, is because he never did anything to bring it out.
Mm,
He wasn't out doing dumb things and, texting other girls or, just doing things like that. It was never gonna be a thing, so it was almost like, well, I can't even be crazy because there's, like, nothing there's nothing to act crazy over, and if I do, he's gonna be like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, like, this is not what we're gonna do here."
I feel like, did he create a safety, like a zone
Mhm,
around you that felt safe
mhm,
enough that you didn't have to access that part of
mhm.
yourself?
Totally, yeah, I never felt like there was any kind of threat or anything. Yeah, there was never any, like, insecurity of, "Is he cheating on me?" Right? Because I mean, that had probably happened in every other relationship. There was never that. So I was always a little bit more at ease. And then but
Did he go out of
sometimes
his way to like make sure that you didn't, like that you knew that that was never a possibility? Like to really make you feel stable in that way?
I don't even know that he had to go out of his way to do it. It was just kind of how it was. So even, all the years that we were friends, and I would sometimes go out, with him and his friends, had their girlfriends, like, they just weren't those kinds of guys, like, where I could be with them without their girlfriends, and they weren't, you know, doing things and,
They weren't.
being
Mhm.
disrespectful to their girlfriends when their girlfriends weren't there. That it was never like, "Oh, well, what are they doing when they're out?" "Who are they
Right.
talking to?" It wasn't That's just not them. So, I think it was just already there, like, he didn't have to do anything extra. to make me, um yeah, to make me feel that. It was just
He just
like I
never
just
gave you any doubt.
mm-mm, mm-mm, and that was so weird.
You
It's
weren't
like
used to it.
mhm.
Did you find yourself kind of like searching for it a little bit, trying to see if it's just because like he's hiding it really well or something? Because I feel like that's what I would do.
I didn't because I also, like, never felt the need to, like, wanna go through his phone. And I remember one day I thought he was texting somebody, and I told him what I thought I saw, and he said, "No, that was something here, like, do you wanna look?" And I didn't. I said, "No, I don't want to." And when I look back, I'm like, "Oh, no," like, I thought I saw, like, the first initial of a letter of who I thought it was, and it was somebody else, but I was like, "Oh my gosh," and yeah, for no reason. For no
You got
reason.
into
He's like,
your head about it. You're like automatically jumping to the
"Mhm."
worst case scenario. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we are the same person.
Yeah.
We're the same
All
exact
these
person.
all these dumb people before them that, made us feel these ways that when it came to, like, finding someone and being with someone that wasn't doing that, it was quite a shift.
Oh man, yeah, definitely. We've had so many fights, me and my husband, about things that I perceived were happening just because I've been lied to so much about it. And he's
Mhm.
like, literally, like, look at the reality, look at what's actually happening, and look at what you think is happening. Where's
Mhm.
the proof of what you think is happening? So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, like I totally projected on you. Sorry.
Mhm. Yep, totally.
Oh my gosh. So yeah, ideal couple. Makes sense. You guys sound so emotionally mature and so like such a comfort zone, such a safe spot for each other.
It's so funny. My husband's, like, main goal as a husband is to make me comfortable, whether that's physically or emotionally. He, bought us a new couch because I was gonna be home, recuperating for something. He's like, "I just want you to be, like, comfortable."
Oh my
He
gosh.
bought me, a weighted blanket because I have a hard time sleeping. Like, he's really gone out of his way to make sure that my sleep is regulated over the last however many years we've been together. How many? Oh, well, since we've lived together. So, in over 5 years, that's, like, been his main goal is, like, "I need you to sleep." So, he got me a weighted blanket for our anniversary last year. He went out and got these, I was having a hard time sleeping a couple years ago in our bed, and I was having to go sleep on the couch, and he's like, "I can't, like, have you sleeping on the couch." And I told him, "But it's causing me a lot of neck pain, the bed is, so it's a little bit easier." He's like, "Well, then we're getting a new bed." Like, he's always just, like, going out of his way to make sure that, like, I'm physically comfortable
Oh
and
my
that I'm, like,
gosh.
safe, and I think he even wrote that in, like, a card recently, like, "Oh, just something else to, like, try to make you comfortable." Like, that's just what he always wants to do.
We love that for you. I
Yeah.
love that for you. I love a healed masculine and in his like taking care of you energy.
Mhm.
That is so healthy.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Oh," I told him, like, "You're making, like, our room, our bed, like, everything so comfortable that I don't wanna leave." Like, I just wanna be in bed all the time because 'cause I'm so comfortable. Like, I'm gonna buy you comfortable clothes, and I'm gonna, like, make sure our bed is comfortable, like, just anything that's comfort related, like, he's gonna make sure that I have it.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
Is your husband the same way?
I he is definitely the same way. He is definitely like he will go out of his way to make me comfortable, especially when I just moved in. He went and bought me a dresser that I liked. He let me pick it out. He's like, "I just want this to feel like home for you. I don't want you to feel like you're excluded. Like this is my home. Like no, this is both of ours." He went out of his way for that. But in regards to the bed story, I literally bought a mattress so that my husband could stay in bed with me because he has back pain, and he would
Oh.
often like wait until I'm asleep on the mattress and he'd go downstairs and sleep on the couch
Mm.
because it was so uncomfortable for him. So we had to buy a mattress. We chose it together so that he'd be able to sleep in bed.
Yeah, and when you were kinda saying that too, when we started dating and he had his apartment, I remember, the first night I think I stayed over, he said, "Oh, here, like, here's a drawer. You can keep whatever you want here." And I think that's where I knew, like, okay, this is it, and I don't have to worry about him cheating or doing other things because I literally have a drawer in the bathroom for my toothbrush and my hairbrush and
He's a penguin.
anything.
He's a
Yeah,
penguin.
anything that I needed. And I remember that being like such a big deal. Like, oh my gosh, he gave me a drawer, like night one or night two, right? It was just like, yeah, you're gonna be here every other weekend, when I don't have my son, and here you go.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that's also, yeah, why I was just, okay, this is it. No worries.
Yeah, that level of stability and like it's a it's some commitment like right off of the bat, and it's like, okay, this person is different,
Hmm.
built different.
Totally. Yeah. And then it's interesting because, I knew him for so many years and I had this perception of him being one way. And then once, we got in a partnership, he's very different because my husband is very masculine. He's very much a man. He's like very much an alpha, but he also like he can flip it and like be exactly what I need when I don't need an alpha.
Mm,
When I just need like somebody like soft
very
and
gentle. Hmm.
mhm. Yeah.
I love that. You're when you read your compatibility thing, you're going to see that pops up a little bit for him. That there's like this need for you to kind of step down sometimes when you get very into your ambitiousness and like into your leadership role. He has this need for you to either like bring it down to his level or like just let him take care of you, because in the chart it says that he likes to take care of you and he needs to be able to do that sometimes, in order for the relationship to thrive.
Mhm.
Which kind of brings me into the past life,
Mhm. Yeah, I'm
that I
glancing at it
picked
right
up
now.
on you.
Ooh. Mhm.
Sorry?
I'm looking at it right now and it's ooh.
I can't wait to hear about it. Once you
Yeah.
get a chance to look through all of it, I can't wait to hear what you think.
Mhm.
But for your past life, I looked into your Akashic records, and I was a little iffy about that because right away I felt like there was something very traumatic, but maybe that was just a bit of like preemptive like projection, because I know that your soul contract, the first, I think it was your soul contract was the first soul contract I did. It was very, very heavy. So I was a little hesitant about looking into your Akashic records, but when I got into meditation, like your soul was like ready to go. You were like, okay, like whoosh, and like you automatically start going to the Akashic records. I'm like, okay, wait up. So I specifically asked for your higher self to show a past life that is kind of triggering issues in the present reality, like some, or rather, like after effects, not after effects. Let me gather what I'm trying to say. Wounds that are stemming from a past life that are showing up in the present life.
Mhm.
And when we were in your room, you told me to trust you. You're like, okay, hold on, trust me. And then you pull a book out and then you just put me into this past life. And I immediately saw this very, it's very emotional. It was a very, very loving, loving mother. You were his mom in a past life, your husband's mom in a past life, and you loved him so much, as much as somebody can be loved. He was a very sickly child, and you poured all of your heart and soul into taking care of him. You, like, I saw you carrying him from his bed to the table and like feeding him, and just, you were obsessed. This person was your whole entire world. This child like was your whole entire world, and your life revolved around him. And he was very, very sick, and you tried so many different ways of curing him. You took him to everything that you could have possibly taken him to, like every doctor, every witch doctor, every healer, everything, in order to keep him alive, and it didn't work. And he passed away, I want to say, sorry, my mom heart is just,
Mm.
he passed away when he was like 7 or 8, so very, very young. And you weren't able to recover from that in that lifetime. That absolutely killed you. And like there was this moment of like you never wanting to have kids again, so you don't have to feel this pain. You're like, I'm never doing this again. I'm never going to open my heart like this again because this is absolutely wrecking me. And you spent the rest of your life just being a shell of yourself. You weren't the same because your son was the center of your universe. And I saw that as you passed away when you were really old. Like as an old lady, you as you passed away, you said, I finally get to be with my son now.
Mm.
So very, very traumatic. But I was like, what is this specific lifetime trying to bring up for you in your present? And the message there was that there might be some part of you that's kind of holding yourself back, that's kind of preparing yourself in case anything should happen with your husband, like if he has to leave you early, um, that like you're preparing yourself mentally for you to be okay because you realize that you can't go back to what it was like in that life where you were so attached to something that once it was taken away from you, you couldn't function without it. So there's this level of detachment that's happening for you, and your husband's soul can kind of feel it because in that in that lifetime you had to take care of him so much, and this is why he has this gigantic desire to take care of you in this lifetime. He kind of wants to show you that it's okay, like I got you this time around. You did a wonderful job being my mother. You did a wonderful job taking care of me, and now it's time for me to take care of you. Ooh, goosebumps. And he kind of wants you to let that guard down and not be afraid to completely love, because it's better to completely love somebody with every fiber of your being than to kind of save a little part and not open your heart fully in order to protect yourself. So I heard that and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like you guys have that trust there. You have the trust there. You have a strong enough bond there. But there's some part of him that wants you to kind of let go and open up to him and trust that he isn't going to leave you. Trust that he is going to be with you throughout your life so that it's okay for you to feel everything that you feel for him.
Yeah, I would say I would say I'm definitely very guarded still. As much as I've worked on it, I'm very guarded, and I've tried to figure out why. Like, why am I still like this? Why do I still have a hard time? And it's actually something I've been thinking about probably in the last week or 2. Like, why am I like this? So, I 100% I get what you're.
You're like waiting for the other shoe to drop or like waiting for something horrible to happen and then being like, well, I was right. I should have just detached and shut off my feelings. And yeah.
Yeah, like, it feels safe, but, to be vulnerable. Well, actually, it doesn't feel safe to be vulnerable, but it feels safer than it has in the past.
Mm.
And when I had my bridal shower, they did some game where, he answered questions or something, and it was, what's, like, one of the things that you love about her the most? And one of the and what he said was, those small moments of vulnerability that she, like, rarely has.
Oh my gosh.
And And I was like, "Ew." Like, I don't like that. I don't like being vulnerable, and so I really still struggle with that. I'm still very guarded in a lot of ways.
I
And
feel like you've
it's
had a lot of lifetimes where you've been taught to guard yourself and to
mhm,
protect yourself. And the takeaway that you always resorted to was, I gotta love less. I gotta like not put my heart on my sleeve and just like give it everything I have in a relationship.
mhm. Yeah, because even in this life, when I've done that in the past, that didn't work out. And even though it's not like, I don't see us going anywhere, I don't see us like ending in divorce. I really kind of see us like sticking through to the end. That even with that, it's still just kind of like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, can I talk about this? Can I share this?" And there's never been any reason for me to like he's never given me a reason to not. Anytime I bring up something, it's always like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's fix that." Versus it turning into a fight and I don't know why you think that or it's never been that and but there's still that part of me that thinks, "Well, what if he does this time?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's never been the case, but I'm still stuck with that from the past.
I feel like you're kind of leaving that option open a little bit because you mentioned, like, I don't ever see us getting divorced. Like, do you feel like some part of you is like, oh, like, if anything should happen, then
No, 'cause I think maybe in the beginning, but now I'm just like, "No, like, this is kind of it."
this is for life?
Yeah, like, I think we're penguins too, so, yeah.
So adorable. Oh, yeah, it's an incredibly, first of all, beautiful compatibility chart. I mean, there's a reason why it says that you guys are the ideal couple because you are able to support each other so well and you are able to um, be that place of comfort for each other so well. And you guys seem very balanced in regards to workload and your identities. Like it's not very like traditional where it's one person like doing the mental load and the workload and pulling most of the brunt of the heavy work.
Yeah, it's taken a while, I think, right, those conversations that I've mentioned, "Oh, how is this gonna go?" It's taken some of those conversations to get us to the point to where we're a little equal and balanced. But, even on some days it looks different. Some days he's doing a lot more and some days I'm doing a lot more. But I think even in that, that is the balance, right? It's not him doing it every day and, me coming home and doing nothing or vice versa. So I think those conversations, because again, he is very much like, I remember one of the things he said to me when we had an argument once over like dishes. That was like the big argument. And I remember he said something like, it's an issue. Like he's like, I don't see issues as big or little. An issue is just an issue. If it's, a big issue to you and maybe it's a little issue to me or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just an issue. And so how do
Mm-hmm.
we fix it? There's no like big or small. It just is. So what are we going to do so that it's not an issue? I remember it being like, oh, that's like a really interesting way to look at things, right?
Yeah,
Where it's not like, oh, you're making a big deal out of nothing. Well, no, it's still it's a deal, and what do we need to do about it? And
right.
that's how he kind of approaches everything, and I think that's why it works so well because it's like it's not the him trying to one up me, right? Where I'm the queen of the one uppers. He's just not going to do that. It's just okay. Well, what we need to fix it, whether
He
it's big
sees
or
it.
small.
Yeah, he sees it for like what it is, like instead
Hmm.
of
It's just neutral. It's just okay. So
mhm.
you're unhappy about this. So what do we need to do to fix it? Whether I agree or not, it doesn't matter because it's still an issue to one of us, and it's still gonna affect us.
That's so healthy.
Yeah,
Take notes,
but
guys. If you're
yeah,
single, this is like
mhm,
the divine masculine energy
totally,
that we all
yeah.
need. Anyway, thank you so much, Nichole,
Oh,
for
thank you,
being
I
so
love this.
vulnerable and really sharing your relationship with us and your journey. I feel like so many people can relate to it.
Yeah, I hope so. It's been a challenge, but it hasn't been that big of a challenge that it's not worth it. That it's like, okay, time to
Yeah,
go. This is
yeah.
too much work. It's just the challenges that
The
I think.
positive outweighs the negative by far.
Mhm. Yeah,
And it
definitely.
ultimately, if two people actively try and want to make it work and aren't afraid to like get out of their own way, then
Mhm.
there's
Yeah.
no reason why it shouldn't work.
Yeah, definitely. I love this. I can't wait to like really go through and read it word for word.
I think you're going to find like things that we just taught, like that you just mentioned in the contract itself. It's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time to be here. If you guys wanted to purchase your own love and compatibility reading, you can do so on my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem, or on my website at thesoulecosystem.com. Thank you guys so much, and look out for the next episode next Friday on the Soul Ecosystem podcast.
Bye,
Thank you.
guys.